Welcome to this week's video. Today we are going to kind of just take a look at the different tiers of programs at Tribe for cheerleading. So everything from intro to all-stars, our novice, our prep, and finally our elite team. So I have Kenzie, our office director, here with me. She gets a lot of questions about these things, so she's going to be a great help to explain some of the differences in the programs. And we're going to kind of start at our entry-level program, Intro to All-Stars. Yeah, Kenzie, go ahead and dive in and just kind of tell everybody what Intro to All-Stars is.
Yeah, so our Intro to All-Star program is really our first stepping stone to getting your feet wet in the world of competitive cheer. So for athletes that, may not really know what cheer is, maybe they're coming from a different sport like dance or gymnastics and, kind of want to try it out first, it's a great place to start because it is low cost, low commitment, and really just, a place to kind of see if this is something that they want to continue with and ultimately are going to fall in love with. So the way that, it kind of starts out, we have different sessions set throughout the year. So right now we're running about 10 sessions per year, which is very different than our first year. We had about 2, I think.
Right.
So it has grown ridiculous amount.
To the fact where I know you're getting people registering right now for like September and October and the fall, and they are full with wait lists. So cool.
It's insane. But to start off, our sessions run in 6 to 7 week, increments. And then it's a 2-hour practice every week. So depending on what day they sign up for, sometimes we're running 2 sessions at once. So we have, a Tuesday and a Thursday right now. So practices are 5 to 7 p.m. For the first about hour, the athletes are going to work on tumbling. So it's very much like our tumbling classes where we'll start out with our line drills, they do stations and kind of work that. And then the next hour is like their team practice where they're learning bits of their routine that they're going to put together for a performance at the end that they get to showcase for the parents.
Right. Yeah. So just last night we had our first showcase of 2022 and it was awesome. Like every year I feel like it gets better. The kids get better. Mm-hmm. Some of these kids do this session a few times.
Yeah. I feel like right now, in our session that we had last night, there are some athletes that this is maybe their 3rd session that they've done. So it's always a little bit different just because the coaches can change a little bit. The athletes that do it with them are different. So your routine's never going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I think this is something I just had texted our staff that worked with the session 1A this morning. Mm-hmm. I think the coolest part of their job too is they get to help kids fall in love with the sport. Mm-hmm. Like, what is cheerleading when you're a 5-year-old? And it's fun and it's excitement and it's loud and it's the crowd cheering and the other tribe teams cheering, right? So I know that was really fun.
I think it's awesome. Like a lot of the showcases, they take place right before our team practices. So you get all those athletes there yelling for the younger kids and they really get that sense of what tribe is and, what to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah.
I know a question you get a lot kind of as we near the end of sessions for intro is, we loved it. What do we do next? So, what's the response for that?
Right. I mean, there are so many options, and really, I love to just, pretty much overload with info, give as much as I can, because really, it's truly just going to be what works best for your family, what your commitment levels are. A lot of kids might be doing other activities, so what's going to work in your schedule? So, we have our rec classes, so they could join tumbling, a jump class, flexibility and strength class. They could do another session of intro. They could look at competitive teams, and I try to just send them to the website so they can look at the parent packets, kind of see what everything entails and, answer any questions they may have about that, but just kind of giving them all the info and seeing what's going to work best for them.
Yeah, for sure. I know we have a lot of our tumbling kids who maybe start out just in a tumbling class and then they see some of our teams practices happening and they'll go what? My kid wants to do cheerleading. Do you have any classes that are more about cheer? And this is kind of that perfect first opportunity. So what would you say the normal age range is for our intro program? I mean, I know we allow it for a lot of different ages, but what's the typical range you see?
I would definitely say average age is about 7.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, our age range is 4 to 12, and we definitely have 4-year-olds. We definitely have 12-year-olds, but I would say that average age is definitely right in 7, 8.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And one thing I know Kenzie hit on, this program now has a lot of entry points through the year. We have 10 sessions during 2022, I think.
Yeah.
So it's every couple months you can get in. So there's not a wait. I know some of our other programs we're going to hit on. It's if you don't get in and it's like June and you want to be on an elite team, like, cool, you get to wait 10 months, you know? So intro is not like that. You get that different entry point throughout the year because of the 6 or 7 week sessions.
So the next tier of team that actually goes to competitions are our novice teams, and Dan's just going to hit a little bit on those.
Yeah, so novice is kind of new to Tribe, not super new, I guess, in the all-star world, but this is our first year currently having them. Next year will be our second year, and it's another kind of entry level or next step after our Intro to All-Star program. So our novice program will actually have registration this coming season in December. So for any of our Intro to All-Star kids wrapping up in those sessions, that's going to be a great jump in for them. Yeah. Then novice will go from basically January right after the new year, and we'll practice all the way through April, when we then have registration and team placement for our elite teams. So it's going to be a great step. Their uniform will be a little bit downplayed compared to prep and elite. The price point is just a little bit lower. The time commitment's a little lower with practice time. So from January to April, they'll practice twice a week for 1 hour, I think we have it set for, as well as an hour tumbling class. So the intro kids have 2 hours a week. The novice kids are going to go up to 3 hours a week. So a little more time in the gym, just a little more commitment, right?
Yeah, and so, with the novice, the way that the score sheet works for them and, at competitions, it's a little bit different than prep and elite. Do you kind of want to touch on that?
Yeah, so novice, the way that novice is set up under the USASF is it's a exhibition style performance. So they do compete, they go to the competitions, they perform, they even get judged. Their score sheet's a bit different than the prep, which is a bit different from the elite. But they do get judged and they get feedback, but they're really kind of competing, I guess, against themselves, right? So they compete for a ranking, and they get that ranking and get it to earn it themselves. So no other team has any effect really on what place or ranking they're going to get. It's just up to how their performance is. So it's really a good, little bit lower pressure competition season or setting. Again, just like letting the kids kind of get their feet wet into going to competitions and what those days look like. Yeah. For novice, I think the plan is going to be to be a little bit more near the Des Moines area. We're not going to take them across the country to compete. But that's what the novice competition season looks like. So yeah, great question. Yeah. I'm trying to think anything else on the novice side. We hit on apparel a little bit, timeline of season. Commitment wise, since this is a set team that's learning choreography and getting music and going to competitions, we follow the same attendance policy for the novice teams as we do for our prep and elite teams. So it is a bit of a, commitment. Once you're in it, we want you to be in it, but it's a great program for kids to kind of fill that time. If they're wrapping up an intro session, go, we want a little bit more, but, we want to get ready also for elite placements in the spring. What can we do? Novice is going to be a great stair step to fill that void. So I think that's probably it on that, but we're really excited to ramp up the novice program this coming season. We did a test run kind of it this year, and it was awesome, and we're excited to go all in on it this coming season. So I think that kind of pushes us to our next stair step, which is our prep program, and prep has been around since we started, so I'm going to let Kenzie hit all on prep.
Yeah, so with our prep teams, the next tier, so we're going up a little bit more on, commitment level, time in the gym, everything like that. So with our prep, it's going to run, our team placements are going to be in August, and then practices run from September through April. So a little bit longer than that novice. They're going to be in twice a week for an hour and a half, and then they also get that included tumbling class with the tuition. So really too, like Dan hit on the apparel for novice, with prep, the uniform is going to be a little bit more, and it kind of just keeps going up and up every time you kind of move up that tier. So, and
pretty soon you're going to actually get to see these uniforms. So I can't hint at anything, but they're beautiful. And that prep one, you're going to get to see prep and novice when you get to see elite this year, which we're all super excited about. So sorry to interrupt you.
No. And so then I know Dan also hit a little bit on the score sheet for Novice. So with prep teams, their score sheet and the way that they compete at competitions is going to be a little more similar to the elite teams. And so really they are competing for placings, first, second, third, whatever we're going for. When they go to the comp, they're competing against other teams from different gyms in their division and stuff like that. So
right. And prep, while they do compete, they only compete one day at any competition.
Yes.
So even if we go to an event where our elite teams are competing Saturday and Sunday, typically they'll have prep and novice compete on Saturday. Not always, but it is always one day. It's typically on that Saturday.
Yeah, so. And definitely with the prep teams, we tend to keep them more local. So they may have like one overnight competition throughout the season, but for the most part, we're keeping them closer to home so the travel, isn't too much for them.
Yeah. And would you say like, we see this, especially this time of year, we're kind of wrapping up season. Do we see a lot of the prep kids kind of transition into elite?
Yeah, I truly think I used to coach some prep teams and, each season it'd be like half of my prep team would be transitioning into elite, which is amazing. You know what I mean? Like those kids are truly falling in love with this sport and want more. They want to be in the gym more. They want more of that challenge, it's just, it's so cool to see because we've just had so many kids, transition into a full year from prep.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think like the placements are like? We get into August, we do these team placements for prep. We generally have a pretty good sized handful of kids. We're going to talk about elite in a second. We usually have a very large number of kids for elite. How does that affect like placements and levels, and if a kid is a pretty high level, what does that mean for them as far as prep? Because it is a little bit different than elite.
Yeah, definitely. So when we're looking at it, in the past we've typically had certain types of levels for prep. So it's a little bit different than the elite programs. And truly for any of our teams, when we're at team placements, we're looking at the athlete's age, their skill level, and really combining all of the athletes that came in and looking how to make a successful team, so we're just picking all the pieces and putting them together.
Right.
But so for prep, there's different types of levels. You could have a 2.1 team, so they're competing level 2 stunts but level 1 tumbling, or right now we have a level 2.2, so it's level 2 stunts, level 2 tumbling. So depending on where your athlete falls, if they're at that level where they're doing back handsprings and have all the level 2 skills, maybe they've never stunted level 2 before, but we're going to challenge them there, so right. Really just figuring out what's going to make our successful team and how do we put that together.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to think, are there any questions you get like frequently about prep? Maybe it's like leading into prep or at the end of the prep season, like what are questions that are pretty typical?
Yeah, I know one, that we get, and typically this is from new families, that may have never been at Tribe before, but it's, when my athlete comes to team placements, will they make a team? And, in the past, however many years, I think we've only had a couple that we weren't able to place just due to age, maybe being, typically I would say our age ranges from like 15 and under for prep, but we've never had a senior age prep before. We've only ever had, mini junior youth, all that, Right. So I would say for the most part, yes, like we are going to find a team that, works for your athlete.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hit on elite teams, kind of the last tier, and this is kind of the top tier within USASF of competitive nature, time, commitment, financial commitment, and yeah, so the elite team is pretty much year round, so it's like a lot of sports now, it's kind of ongoing. We take some of our teams to US finals in April, and then we take some of our teams to the summit down in Orlando in early May, and then we kind of have a week or so off and we come back and it just kind of starts over. So the season for our elite teams is really May through April or the next May, just depending on the team. They're typically in the gym 4 hours a week for team practice, so 2 2-hour team practices, as well as that tumbling class, so about 5 hours in the gym a week. And a lot of those kids do extra classes, your jump classes, your flex class, airtime, lessons, open gym. they're kind of have this mentality of like, we are in it to win it.
Yeah.
And they want to make themselves the best they can individually. So hopefully they can make their teams as competitive as they can. So like Kenzie kind of said, the uniform tiers kind of go up with these different levels. So the elite uniform has the most bling, has kind of the most sparkle to it. It's beautiful this year. So again, we're really excited. I know I just keep teasing on it, but we've been working on it for a little while, and it's gonna be super fun for everybody to see it. So competition wise, we try to hit one competition a month from about November to April. We'll get into April, May. We might have, that second one in there just with the end of year events, US finals or summit or regional summit. But typically one competition a month. We do a bit of traveling, more or less regionally. Could be, we've been to Columbus, Ohio. We've been to Indianapolis. This year we were supposed to go to Tulsa with some of our teams. We ended up pulling with our summit bids. Chicago, Kansas City, Council Bluffs. We went to Las Vegas one time. That was a whole lot of fun. And those teams really get that full experience. So I know a lot of times a question I see come through the emails a lot that Kenzie gets back to is like, what is the right team for me? Or like, this is kind of where my athlete is at. What's like the right next step? And we really don't have that answer.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of give all that information for the different programs we offer. But I always say if the time isn't a problem, time commitment, if the financial commitment isn't a problem with the full year, it's really like the most rounded season just because it is happening all year. The teams get a little closer because they have that time together and that practice time and whatnot. So if elite team is kind of one of those things you're looking at, don't let the elite team word scare you. It's still meant for entry level teams too. There's level 1 in every single age division from tiny all the way up to senior level 1. So there's no experience necessary for any of the tiers at Tribe, which is really, really cool and exciting. So I know, a couple other things that are a bit different for elite. We do have a choreography camp, a whole week during the summer where basically all of our elite teams learn their whole routine that they're going to do for, at least part of the year till we all change them and upgrade them. But that's kind of a bread and butter part of what makes the elite teams elite, is that choreography camp. It's always a ton of fun. We finish the week up with the tailgate at Tribe where all the families from all the elite teams come and just do a big barbecue and party back behind the gym. So that's always a ton of fun. But I just want to hit kind of on when the right time to make that next move is, because it's probably the question we get the most, and like we said, if time commitment, if you don't need the summers off, if that's not an issue, if the financial commitment isn't an issue. I know we have families go through and kind of see like what is the cost breakdown per month. And the elite program isn't a lot more per month than the prep, more so because it's spread out over a whole 12 months instead of over just 8 for the prep program, and same with the novice. So I think if that monthly amount isn't a deciding factor, then we always encourage people get signed up for elite, because it's just a great experience. And I think that's why we see so many of the prep kids year after year go, hey, yep, I want more. I love this. We like the competition atmosphere. My parents have friends at Tribe now. Like, we want to be around here more. And that's what we love. And I think that's truly for us why we have these different stair steps, is so we can make sure that like you're a good fit for Tribe and that Tribe's a good fit for you, because I promise the last thing that we want is for anyone to not be happy. Like we love that everybody at Tribe is happy. That's very important to us, and it's why we have these different stepping stones. So we're really excited to have like an entry point, multiple times throughout the year for intro, but then 3 distinct entry points for more during the year from, novice in December and prep in August, and then our elite teams in April here coming up. So I know Kenzie kind of gets a lot of the office side and the questions and the things, and we probably already hit on some of them, but are there any other questions that just like happen super frequently?
Yeah. So I know one of the questions that we get sometimes, and maybe I'll let Dan hit on this, but parents will ask, okay, my athlete was, whatever position before at a different gym, when they come to Tribe, will they be this position again? So maybe they were a flyer, or maybe they were a base, so how do we, let them know how that works?
And sometimes it's like they were a level 3 before. Will they be level 3 again? Or they were level, and this can happen with kids from our own gym too, right?
Oh,
we hit on this a little while ago at prepping for placements, but we really, really, really strive to make amazing teams. So, the mindset for us always has to be like gym, team, individual. And I believe truly that we're trying to develop the individual just as much. But as we're working through placements, it really comes down to like, how can we make successful teams? Because kids are going to be happier if they're successful. Parents are going to be happier if they're successful. Lord knows we're going to be happier if we're successful. So yeah, we look at every scenario. So I know we get that question a lot. Like, my kid really wants to fly. We're thinking about switching to Tribe. Will they be a flyer? And I always say probably not. I have no idea. I mean, 25% of the kids on the team or 20% of the kids on the team have that role of a flyer, and it's really about the whole group and what makes that. So same thing, maybe they were on a level 3 team this year because we needed them to be a great back, or their gym needed them to be a great back base, and maybe next year we need them to be that rock star tumbler on a level 2. So it's a really hard question to answer, I guess, but I think just being open to knowing that we're going to place your kids where they're going to be the best fit. I know we get the question too, like, especially with elite placements coming up, like what do I need to make XYZ level? Well, first of all, we have no idea what teams we're going to have, right? So we don't know, that we're going to have a level 4 team or a level 6 team or a level 2 team or whatever. So we always just tell kids, try to have every skill within that level, tumbling wise. Make sure that you're, having a great attitude at practice, hard work ethic, constantly working to improve yourself, and time's going to tell ultimately. I mean, I know like this year we didn't have a level 4 team, even though there were a good number of kids within the program that have level 4 skills. We just didn't feel like we could make a great level 4 team. So those kids were, some of them were on level 3s. A lot of those kids were on level 3 teams. Some of them were on the level 5 team to fulfill different roles. But everybody goes to the right spot for a right reason. So.
Yeah. I know another question I get asked too is, what does team placements entail? So when we show up, like, what does it even look like, and especially for someone who maybe has no experience and maybe no tumbling skills, it's a little bit different for everyone, but it doesn't take too long. There's a little bit of paperwork, we touched on this in the team placement video too, but really we just do some sizing, a quick eval of skills. So, we might not need to see every single level 1 skill someone has, but just definitely looking at like those big skills we know would be in a routine.
Right.
And then typically we do kind of like a flexibility type thing. If someone is wanting to be a flyer, we look at that flex because body positions are super important, especially as you move up in levels. And then, a quick jump eval as well. So, even if you don't have any tumbling skills, it's fine. We just, skip right over that, look at flex and jumps, and then you're on your way.
Yeah. No, that's great. Anything else you can think of?
There's probably a million things, but that's about it right now.
Yeah. If you have questions about any of these programs, email the office. Kenzie's going to take care of you. Email is office@ourtribeathletics.com. And we will be more than happy to kind of help guide you in the right direction or give you a little bit more information. But thank you for joining us this week's video, just learning about the different tiers of cheerleading that Tribe offers. And we will see you guys in the gym soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, recording.
Where do
is
I
happening.
look at you?
Yeah, sure. Ready?
No.
Take 1.